Welcome to the world's greatest minds, where the most successful, impactful, and creative game changers on the planet deliver their hardest-hitting advice in 30 minutes or less. Every guest is specifically handpicked, there's no paid placements allowed, and every conversation is completely authentic and entirely unscripted. Big ideas, raw conversations, and real impact. This is World's Greatest Minds, and the revolution of thought starts now. And we're back with World's Greatest Minds, and this will be one of my favorite episodes. I already know, and we haven't even started it. This is one of my very best friends in the world, Chris Gray, the co-founder, co-owner of Red Palm Studios, which is a powerhouse marketing agency that helps home service businesses dominate local markets through SEO, local search, and Google Ads. Over the last 17 years, Chris has done something that blows my mind. If you think about just the impact, the ripple effect of this, he's been able to create over 70 millionaires. He's helped 70 businesses pass the $1 million mark, often within 2 years or less. He's also the co-founder of EarnCore Community, which is 5,000 members strong, the creator of Bald Buck Seasoning, and the co-host of The Amazing Marketing Show. Outside of business, Chris is a dedicated husband, father, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu enthusiast, a brown belt, incidentally, which is no small feat, and what he terms an undercover geek. I don't think it's actually that undercover, to be honest with you. I think he's flattering himself. He's a force for good, dedicated to personal growth, AI integration, and community building. Obviously a Renaissance man. Chris Gray, thanks for being here.
I am so damn happy to be here. I appreciate that intro. The bar has been set way too high, people, so I'm going to let you guys down. But no, I blame. I'm happy to be here, and this is going to be fun, Kasim.
Classic Chris Gray self-deprecation. I'll lecture you on that later. We just spent a week on a boat together. We were on the Driven Cruise. We didn't get a lot of time together, though. I had my boys, and you had Dimitri, so we were both taking care of children.
The thing about that boat, we'll get to it, but I don't know about you, but I had the sea legs when it was done. Like, I got off the boat and I'm walking, but I'm still rocking. And that was like for 2 days. Anyways.
I still feel a little like strange nausea. Like if there's any motion in the background, my body goes, oh, I know what's happening here.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm glad that it's done.
Yeah, I'm not a cruiser type, but it was fun, dude. I'm glad we got some time together. I'm super excited to expose you to this community. You're the type of person this podcast was created for. The thing that sucks about most, especially niche podcasts is they're too myopic in scope. It's like, all right, it's like I was the co-host of Perpetual Traffic for 3.5 years. And can I tell you how easy it is to get sick of talking about traffic? You know what I mean? Like that only happened right away. And what I love about World's Greatest Minds is we get to take some really brilliant people and kind of crack them open. And the thing about you, dude, is, look at your bio, right? It's like brilliant agency owner, great, but so are a lot of people. Not to diminish your prowess, just to say that it's not a difficult conversation to be exposed to. But then we also have community owner with 5,000 members. Like that's no small feat. And then you're a podcast host, The Amazing Marketing Show, and you're a founder with your Bald Buck Seasoning. Like you've done a lot of shit, dude. And then just you as a person. I don't know many people that are constantly in pursuit of self-improvement the way you are. I get a voice message from you every Monday. I hope you don't mind me airing this out. We haven't talked about this.
Let's do it, bro.
But every Monday, it's me and it's two other dudes, right? You got kind of this core group of, and you send me what I will characterize is where you currently are in your self-improvement journey. And it's usually a couple of minutes. Sometimes it's longer. And I always feel like it's a gift because it always like informs me, like, where did this come from? This desire and dedication to being the best version of yourself. When did it start? How do you maintain that motivation? If you were to teach somebody else how to do it, what would you do?
These are so good. Thank you for teeing me up. And I'm going to get to rambling. You might have to bring me back, but I want to answer all those questions as best I can. I think it starts like any great story or good entrepreneur or anything like that. It starts in trauma. And so for me, when I was in 5th grade, my dad came home with a magazine called The Final Call. If you don't know The Final Call, this is not a magazine, but a newspaper from the Nation of Islam led by Louis Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad at the time. So he comes with this final call and he's talking to me about it. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Then he starts getting these books. These books are written by Elijah Muhammad. One of the books were about the holidays. And then as we all know, the holidays are rooted in paganism and blah, blah, blah. But back then, this information wasn't rampant. You couldn't just Google this. You had to go actually read it. And so my dad gets to reading these books. Long story short, I walk in the house one day and he tells me they were no longer celebrating Christmas. And he tells me all the pagan roots and this, that, and the other. But I don't care about any of that. I'm in 5th grade. I don't give a shit about any of this other stuff. All I know is I'm a 5th grader who's losing my favorite holiday, which is Christmas. And it just crushed me, Kasim. just crushed me. Like the rug was just pulled out under my feet and it hurt. But then what I noticed was that my whole life at that time, to me, my whole life could be turned upside down by somebody reading a book. Because not only did we lose holidays, there was other changes that were made and ideologies that were being taught to me, which I didn't agree with back then. But still, I was like, dude, this dude read a book and he just changed. And that's when that seed got planted. And so I think just throughout middle school and high school, I just would start to learn stuff. Like we're playing Street Fighter 2, which was a video game. If I would know the characters' stories, and my friends would sit around with me and ask me that, and I would just tell them because I just would start to read. Then I think maybe college or towards the end of the college is when I started to really hone in on the fact that, hey, you can go learn something or read something, it can change your life. And so it started, it was rooted in the trauma of the whole Nation of Islam experience. And then I started to hone it like mid to post college is when I started to hone it. And I think, we talk about the world's greatest minds, right? So I'm on this podcast, which I'm so damn flattered to be considered to be here. And if I'm looking at, well, if I was to say like I'm a great mind, which I'm not sitting there walking around thinking I'm one of the world's greatest minds, but I'm no slouch. And what makes me no slouch? Well, the things that Kasim just mentioned, I have this, I have that, great. But the root behind all that is that I just want to get better. Whereas like a lot of my friends I grew up with, they may be on version 1.5 of themselves, maybe version 2. I'm pushing version 4 right now. And that's because I've just developed. And there's two more things I want to say about this before I stop. One is that I think when it comes to this development, one of the biggest learnings I have here, and if you take nothing away from what I'm saying, I hope that you guys take this, because this is a big realization for me, and I don't think I'm the only one. A lot of my self-development was rooted in me not being enough. Like I was trying to self-develop my way into self-love. It doesn't work like that. And so don't get me wrong, this development, it has helped, and it compounds over time, just like money. It all compounds. It helps, but it wasn't rooted properly. It was like, if I could just get better, I could just get better. Subconsciously, I'm telling myself, oh, my dad will love me more. My mom will love me more. The world will love me more. I'll love myself more. I'll be accepted if I just keep getting better and better and better. It was rooted in being not enough. It wasn't until recently where I realized that, hey, I am enough. I am divine and perfect as God made me. And from there, I can get better. I can develop. So when it's rooted, when I switch that, I've seen an exponential leap over the last year. And Kasim, you are a big part of this picture. I've told you this privately. I'll tell everybody this publicly. Kasim is somebody where he is edifying by nature. Just prior to this call, we were in a green room and he was talking to Camilo. Shout out to Camilo who set all this up. And he gave Camilo a brilliant idea about expanding his business. And it would actually hurt Kasim if Camilo left. But he gave him that idea. You, Kasim, edify by freaking nature. If you get around Kasim and he allows you in his circle, you are going to get better. Like it's just going to happen. Whereas most of the world, at least some of my old friends, I get around them and I'm not going to get better, or I can actually go backwards, if that makes any sense. And so then let me land this plane with this. The last story I'll give you guys is about a year ago. Kasim gave a brilliant presentation about like stepping into your highest self. It was about podcasts and all that, but it was also about stepping into your highest self. And he told everybody in the audience that, hey man, the only reason I'm up here and you're watching me is because you are too afraid to grab the mic and do it. He was challenging everybody. Hey, get out there and be the best version of yourself. So I go to Kasim and I give him that feedback. I'm like, dude, that speech was fire. Like, that was great. And Kasim was like, hey, man.
Chris walked up to me and he points a finger at my face. Chris is a big dude. How tall are you? Are you 6'4"?
6 foot. I'm 6
foot.
Foot.
You're really? Well, you tall. Yeah. You walk bigger. You walk taller than you are. I have to,
especially around you. I got to get on my tippy toes.
Yeah. And he's a brown belt in Jiu Jitsu. And you know what I mean? And you got the shoulders that let me know that if you wanted to, you could choke me out. And I get off stage and Chris walks up and he goes, you know what, man? Fuck you. And then you followed it up with thank you, but also fuck you. And then you're like, I'll tell you why later. And I was like, all right, I'm excited to hear that.
And that's exactly what it is. It was thank you and fuck you, because I was Kasim's avatar for that
Bro, I
for
was
that,
looking you in the eyeball when I was talking to you. Yeah, I know
yes,
exactly
yeah,
what
like
I'm saying,
he
yeah.
yes, like, I'm like, like, and I wish everybody had a friend like that. A friend who will say some shit to you that will just fucking piss you off, but it's rooted in love, and those are the best friendships, period, where they will challenge, not a bobblehead, not here to just, "Oh, it's all good," like, tell you some stuff that's not gonna feel good, but it's for the best. That's what family does. That's what you do for somebody that you love. So it was a fuck you and thank you. And Cosm, you may not know it. It's been a year, almost a year since that. All types of shit happened in this last year, from earn core to things that are on the horizon that I can't talk about, to things within the business, to most important, me loving myself and knowing that I'm divine as I am.
I love that a lot, dude. I have so much I wanna say. I'm gonna go in sequence, which will, I think, maybe break the cadence of the conversation, but that's the best way for me to just make sure I don't miss anything.
For sure.
The first thing has nothing to do with anything other than it really resonated with me. Have you ever seen the old, uh, Robin Hood movie with Kevin Costner and Alan Rickman?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. That was the old one.
Old one.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman rewrote most of his lines. I love Alan Rickman to death. I think he's one of the greatest actors ever. And what people don't know about Alan Rickman is he's a better writer than he's an actor. And what makes him such a good actor is he changes the character through the words. And so he actually, I forgot who, you can find this online, but he called one of his friends who's like a famous playwright, I think, and they sat down together and they rewrote all of the sheriff's lines. And it was a condition of him doing the role that he had free reign because he didn't want to do it. And he was trying to figure out how to, in the shortest amount of time, illustrate the true villainy of this character. And the line he came up with, which is kind of, I think, there's just something about it that still has an echo. But at one point, the sheriff gets so mad and he screams as he's walking away. He screams, "Call off Christmas." And Rickman was like, that was, for me, he was like, that's the worst thing in the shortest amount of time, the
Yeah.
worst thing somebody could do. And it was what he did to make the audience hate him the most. Now, this isn't me throwing shade at your dad, because I know there's a whole bunch of reason that a person would need that, especially given the context but what it does do is I think it just puts us in the seat of little Chris, little 10-year-old Chris. All of a sudden hearing, man, they called off Chris. That is the worst thing that can happen to a little kid. And I love the way that you connect that to learning. It's so idiosyncratic. It's such a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Like learning can really hurt. Harsh truths hurt. There are things that I don't want to know that I know. You know what I mean? Like there are
Yes.
things that I do not want to know. I feel this way about my country. I was raised such a staunch patriot. I used to love the United States of America, dude. I was obsessed. And I'm a reader. And you can love this country a whole lot still, but when you read I mean, bro, read about like what really started Vietnam, or read about what we did
Yeah.
in Latin America, read about whatever, and all of a sudden you're like, man, we got a lot of explaining to do, like, and it's hard. Like learning is not the luxury that we paint it to be, because learning can hurt. And it's facing that pain. Jordan Peterson calls it burning off the dead wood. Dude, growth is positioned constantly as like this positive, it's going to the gym and Rocky Balboa and playing the eye of the tiger and just getting better and getting better and getting better. And it's actually not that. It's hurt and it's hard and it's burning and it's pain and it's some of the good stuff too, right? I don't want to be myopic in scope. It's three-dimensional, but God, do we not talk about the part that hurts? Most of what I've experienced from a growth perspective is sacred cows dying. Things that I needed and wanted in my life not being true. It's finding out Santa's not real, or maybe the Bible's not literal, or maybe my parents aren't perfect. You know what I mean? Like it's all that shit. And so I love the way that you started this and the way that you began your personal growth journey. Like it's not a good sales pitch, but is it authentic as hell? You know what I mean? Like I just really respect you for that. I appreciate you sharing that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And one of the first couple things that come to mind is that I feel like that this whole progression, like in life in general, progression. I think I've talked to you about this. Is just it's like there's this universal law that there's this necessary period of suck when you want to progress. Like that's just how it is. Like you want to lose weight, well then you can't just go eat your favorite foods, right? There's going to be a period of you changing what you eat, going to the gym. It's not comfortable.
Mm.
If you want to be an entrepreneur, you're not going to be able to watch Netflix and play video games all the time and just be hanging out and drinking beer and waking up whenever you want every day of the week. Like, no, there's a period of suck that keeps extending. Like you sacrifice time and you don't watch Netflix, and you're doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing. Same thing with being a better husband and father. It takes work. And for me, it's going inside and dealing with some things in order so that I can show up better for my daughter and my wife. There's always a period of suck in progress. And I think that's just universal. Then you said one other thing that I forgot, but you know what? We'll just keep moving. That's
Well,
what
so
came to
you
mind.
you said something that I wanted to touch on because this resonated maybe more deeply than anything I've ever heard from a podcast guest. Oh, I tried to self-develop my way into love, and self-development was rooted in not being enough. I've said words like that. Like my self-development started from self-loathing. I hated myself so much that it alchemized into a positive manifestation of I can change anything about myself. It was very duplicitous. I started as a liar. I'm like, "Oh, if I pretend to be this, I'll get my way or I'll get the girl or I'll get," you know what I mean? So, like, I was a pathological sociopathic liar from 7 to 22, maybe with some bleed on the other end as I was learning to be a better human. But the thing I learned along the way was I really can change. Like, I really can change, and so there was some positive that came from that negative, but dude, I think a lot of people in the self-improvement and self-development space start because exactly what you just said, rooted in not being enough, working your way into love. I termed it as self-loathing or self-hatred, and maybe that's stronger language. My question for you is, and I'd love to answer this from the perspective of fathers. You and I are both fathers. We love our children. We're both in front row dads, by the way. Shout out to John Broman. If you're listening to
Yep.
this and you're not in front row
Shout out
dads,
to
you don't love your
John.
kids. Go join front row dad. From the perspective of a father, how do you get somebody, how would you coach your daughter to pursue self-improvement without the self-loathing or the root of not being enough? Because my experience of people that feel like they're enough is there's a level of complacency there. It's we're talking about double-edged sword. It's the shadow to the light, right? Like it's great because my kids are like that too. I hope, and I'm raising them to love who they are and love themselves, and they're a little lazy and a little entitled.
Yeah.
So like, what do we do there, dude? How do you take somebody who loves themselves and still inspire them to be better?
That's one hell of a question. I'm with you. I'm still trying to figure it out. I think one of the things that you and I do, as well as any father who's trying to be a good father, is we give our kids probably the thing that they need the most, which is access to us. Like, I don't know about you, but with my dad, he never spent a lot of time with me, or, we would go get the haircuts, but I'm talking about like, hey, let's go, me and you one-on-one, like bond, have fun time. I didn't really get that. And the times I did, I remember it was maybe 2 or 3 times he would sit down and play a video game with me or watch me play, or we would play together. Those were the best nights of my life.
Mm,
Like those two, like I was just so excited. Your kids just went on a cruise with you for 8 days. Is it easy? Hell no. You were doing the solo thing. Like that shit ain't easy, and it doesn't always feel fun. But you give them access to you at a level that I don't think you may not have had with your dad. I know that I didn't have with my dad. And so for me, for what I understand with my daughter, the most important thing I can do to make her feel like a confident woman early on is to give her all the access to me as possible and love my wife, or keep us
mm,
like show her what that looks like, what
mhm,
love looks like within it. Like those are the most important things I can do. And so I try. And are those things easy? Hell no. They're not. Like there's always something to do. Just being candid, like I don't always just want to go play dolls with my daughter, or I don't want to just like there's things, but no, you get access is the most important thing I can do to make you feel like, give you a strong foundation. From the strong foundation, now I'm finding ways to, okay, how do I show you how you can develop, but at a level that you would understand. So like for example, my daughter's 8, and now she's 8 years old, right? And so I tend to go real deep, and these things are too deep for me, or too deep for her, and she'll tell me, "Hey, Dad, you're going too deep." So I'll just find little small things. I'm not saying this is the answer, Cosm. I'm telling you this is what I do. Like if we're playing Roblox or something, and there was a game that she sucked at the very beginning, and she's getting frustrated and she wants to quit, I'm like, "Nah, baby, like this is how the things go. Of
mm,
course you're gonna suck at this game right now. You can't aim and shoot because you just played it today. Let's keep playing. Let's kind of figure this out. I'll play with you, and let's keep going." 2 weeks later, she's destroying everybody.
yeah,
Headshots with it, like she's destroyed. I'm like, remember 2 weeks ago when you couldn't even like scope in? Now you're just headshotting people left and right. Well, what was that about? She's like, oh yeah, I just kept playing and I got better. Yeah, let's go back to when she was 3 years old and she wanted to learn how to play. This is 3 or 4 years old. She wanted to learn how to play Roblox. She couldn't even move the character. Like she couldn't. It was looking left. It was all over the place. She couldn't move her character. She was getting frustrated. No, baby, this is how it's supposed to be. You try something new. It's not going to feel good, but as you keep doing it, you'll get better. What was it? About a month later, she's running around. She's got to figure it out. I remind her, hey, remember a month ago, you couldn't even move this. Now you're building all that. I just
Mm.
keep showing her ways that she can understand where you sucked and you got better because you put effort in.
I love that so much. You know what? It reminds me of Montessori pedagogy, which a lot of things remind me of Montessori because I'm so obsessed with it. But Maria Montessori's one of her core theses? I don't know. One of her core, tenets was learning happens within the confines of play. Play is the work of children.
Yeah.
So very often adults are like, play is on the periphery. Play is after. Play is extra. Play is dessert. And it's like, no, dipshit. Play is where they learn. So another parent's
Yes.
going to be like, Roblox is a waste of time. All right, maybe it is the way you do it. But when my friend Chris Gray takes this thing that his daughter's already attracted, they're already going to live within this frame. My kids love Roblox, by the way. And then you find a way to inject the most important life lessons within the confines of where they already want to go. That's what Montessori does. Montessori, if you want to teach a kid math, the way to teach a kid that, like my son, my eldest son, Sammy, loves biology, hates math, just not repelled by it, but just finds it, inaccessible. But if you start talking to him about math through the lens of biology, all of a sudden he lights up, dude. Like we were talking about Punnett squares and DNA, and it required we were talking about the percentage likelihood of somebody getting a certain eye color. And now we're not talking about math, we're talking about biology. But watch this little dude start to fire on all cylinders and got really excited about the math. And so I think that taking what your kids want and then using that to teach them, instead of trying to just slam these square pegs into round holes and sit them down in front of the bullshit McGraw-Hill garbage, I'd rather shoot myself in the face than open one of those again. It's so weird, dude, because we were all tortured by that, and yet we still, we're on this revolving door, I guess, where we do that to our kids, and you're breaking that cycle. So I really applaud you for that, dude. I love that a lot. I think that was a really great departure. Thank you.
Appreciate it, homie.
Yeah. So I want to go back to fuck you and thank you. Because that's what growth, I think, feels like. Growth feels like fuck you and thank you. And I want to talk to our listeners for just a minute. Half of me feels like good for you. Half of me feels like there's a lot on Netflix. There's a lot of things more interesting than you and me. There's things that, you could just be doom scrolling, and you're not. You're listening to a podcast that hopefully is positing some amount of value, and it feels like
Yes.
a learning experience. And the other half of me feels like we have an epidemic of learning. People love to watch, listen, read, take a course, buy a course at least, go to an event. And we have such a lack of doing. The number of people, I have a small community that I just started where I try to teach people entrepreneurship. And there's, I don't know what, I think 1,300 people in the community right now. And the number of people that love to learn is about 100%. But the number of people that do anything is less than 10%. And so for our audience, I want them to end this episode with a fuck you and a thank you. You don't even need to really listen anymore. Like there's something on your list that you should be doing, that you should be doing, that you've been putting off, and this is the time that you should be doing it. Now, maybe the listening is the catalyst, and that's great, but I love what Chris Gray said earlier, which was, man, a year ago, you had the fuck you thank you moment, and bro, I've seen you glow up. You won Wicked Smart, which was so much fun to watch because that used to be my old throne and you took it from me. I've seen you take a leadership position in communities that have really powerful people. And I've seen, some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world reach right out to you and be like, hey man, let's do something together. So I'd be curious if you were to help me jump on this soapbox a little bit for our listeners. What got you there? Well, I know there was a straw that broke the camel's back, but how do we push them over the ledge, and then how do they maintain that momentum? How have you done that?
Oh man, what Kasim's bringing up is so good. I can just give you my personal story. I was like that, where I loved to learn. So that's good because I was learning, but it was also bad because all I was doing was just learning. I wasn't doing a ton with it. And so, what I found for me, what I figured out was that, like, if I had some kind of business idea or something I really wanted to do or something I was excited about, I would like get the website, do the design on the logo, call Kasim, talk to Kasim about it, do my research. I would tell my sisters and my friends and all this stuff. I would do everything but actually go do, meaning actually go sell the damn product or move forward. I would do everything but, and I think I was doing that because doing is scary because you could fail. And so that's scary. And I don't want to fail, and it's new. But if I just do all these other things that make me feel like I'm making progress, then that feels better. So I go the path of least resistance, where let me do a bunch of busy stuff that makes me feel like I'm moving forward when I'm not moving forward at all. And I see this with some of my closest friends. I got people, around my age, going to college again for a business idea. Like, you don't need to spend 2.5 years getting a master's degree for a bit. You just go do it, and then you go fail, and then you figure it out from there. But that's simple for some people who've already done it, but it's scary for a lot. So for me, the issue was I was for the sake of using a cliche football reference, like you have a running back supposed to go up the field, go score a touchdown. For me, I was running sideline to sideline. Like, I look busy, I'm not moving forward. And so that's what it was. And so if anybody can resonate with that story, if you have an ideal, there's something that you want to do, then go fail. Like, go try to sell it, screw up, and then figure it out. That's how we move forward. But to do that takes some courage.
I look busy because bro, that's so much of it for me too, especially as a young man. I just wanted to look busy. I didn't want
Yes.
to be busy because being busy is busy. You know what I mean? But man, did I want to look the part. What's your comfort level right now with failure at the moment? If just arbitrary scale of 1 to 10.
I'm the most comfortable with the discomfort of failing I've ever been. I would say I got to be like an 8.5. I think like that's the most comfortable I've ever been. Let me. I know we're running out of time, but like I won't go into a bunch of detail, but like I'm going through some shit personally right now. I'm just going through some shit in life, and I'm making mistakes throughout the process, and I know that I need to make these mistakes and do these things and get out of my comfort zone in order to move forward.
Mhm.
And given the shit that I'm going through right now, and just in my personal life, the version of me today had the same stuff happen, let's say a year ago or 2 years ago, I would not have handled it the way I'm handling it. It's almost like it's been, what is the term, anti fragile? When bad shit happens and you make something good out of it. I'm going through some stuff and I see the anti fragile thing happening where like things are getting better and I'm learning a lot, but it doesn't feel good. And I'm still failing and stuff. But I'm like, man, like I can see why this is, shout out to you, Cosmo. I can see why this is happening for me as opposed to me. Whereas a year ago or 2 years ago, when I was afraid of failure and not aware, not as conscious, it would all been like the world hates me. It's all about Chris, and the world's out to get Chris, and whatever it might have been. And I wouldn't have been taking the chances I'm taking. And so, to answer your question, there's a long-winded answer, but I'm at an 8.5, and I'm comfortable with failing even when it feels really scary.
Talk to me a little bit about jujitsu because I know it's a big part of your life. You've told me a few times, like, go in there, that's your reset, that's your church. And
Yeah.
I don't think you've said those words, but that's what I took from it. There is something sacred about it, and I'm just curious as to whether or not there's a tie-in with failure there.
1,000%, 1,000%. You can learn so much. Jiu-jitsu has so many life lessons, but the main thing is you go into jiu-jitsu and you're going to get your ass kicked. And it's going to be by somebody smaller than you, and not just geeky looking, and you just get mauled. And this doesn't happen like, 1, 2 times. This happens for years.
Every day.
Years.
Yeah.
Every day, man. Years. You show up and get your ass kicked, learn something, come back, show up, and it happens for years until one day you're getting your ass kicked less. And then some days, then all of a sudden you're dominating. And even at that point, you still get your ass kicked because there's always a bigger fish. But
Yeah.
jujitsu has taught me, one, to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, have soul crushing pressure on my chest where I feel like I'm about to die, and be peaceful in there and still find a way to breathe and be calm. And two, to know that failure is just necessary. I'm tried that move, it didn't work. Okay, I see what happened. I got choked out because I did that. Let me try again. And even then, I'll have one move I'm working on. I won't knock it out and figure it out for 4 or 5 months. And then that 4 or 5 months, I'm getting my ass kicked and killed. Then one day I figure it out. Oh, I got it. Then I move forward. So jujitsu has helped me tremendously with being comfortable, with being uncomfortable, and then being comfortable with failure as well.
I really love that, dude. My boys trained with some pro fighters. Scottsdale's got a nice little pocket,
Yeah, they do.
and there was one gentleman in particular whose name I'm not gonna use for obvious reasons once you hear the story. He was an extraordinary fighter, and he kept hitting this plateau, and he couldn't go past the plateau. And I talked to the guy that was coaching my kids, was also coaching him on, I think, on wrestling specifically. It's MMA, right? So there's a different expert for everything. And I asked my kid's coach, I'm like, "What's with this? Like, how come everybody's talking about how much promise he has, but he's just not going?" And the guy goes, "He can't tap. He won't tap." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "There have been a couple of times in practice where he refuses to tap out and he to the point to where somebody chokes him out. he actually can't embrace the idea of failure. He goes beyond where the learning lesson in failure is, and it stunts his growth. He's so proud and he's so like desperate not to fail. And it was such a beautiful lesson in my mind, dude, because I realized like you would assume, oh, when I tap, I failed. But there's a success in that too. There's a success in knowing where the line is, where you're done learning. You know what I mean? Like I've learned everything I can learn from this. And now I need to rise above my own inclinations and allow for this moment where I'm in a tap. And this dude who would have been apparently a great professional fighter couldn't and wouldn't. And it stunted his career. I thought I don't know enough about jiu-jitsu to even know, maybe to even mine all the lessons there.
You are so good. Where you're so on the money with it. Guys like that, to me, and I'm one of them. Like I have been one of them. I'm cool with tapping now, but I have had that mindset where no, guys like that are trying to win practice. And who gives a shit? It's practice. You're going to win practice. Like guys in jiu-jitsu are trying to win big tournaments. MMA guys aren't sparring and trying to win practice. They're trying to go get on UFC, get on the main stage and win there. To make it more practical for me, when I was having all these business ideas and not moving forward, I was winning practice in the version of I wasn't failing because I wasn't trying. So, hey, I haven't failed. Like I'm okay, right? But no, there's a bigger goal to get this business or get that off the ground. And in the process of doing that, I'm going to have to take some L's. I'm going to have to lose in practice. And so to that point, what you're talking about is like the guy's trying to win a very small game, which is practice. But if you want to win the big game, well, guess what? You got to lose the small one so you can learn.
If you want to win the big game, you got to lose a small one. That's a writer down and right there, dude. I love that a lot. Chris, last words to you. Where do people find you, follow you, see you, hang out with you? Where do they go? They want more Chris Gray in their life.
Go to yochrisgray.com. That's yo like Y-O. Chris Gray, CHRSGRAY.com. You can check me out there. I'm emailing people. So if you want to be on my newsletter, I'm kind of emailing, talking to people about life. And then I'm active on most social media platforms, but the place where I'm most personal is going to be Facebook. And you can find me on Facebook at yochrisgray.com. So that's where you can find me.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here, dude.
I appreciate it, God. I love you, homie.
I love you, man. If you're listening, we just heard from truly one of the world's greatest minds, a man that's created 70 millionaires, built a community of 5,000 plus people, has built multiple businesses, has conquered quite a few realms of life, both entrepreneurial, physical, and personal, and happens to be one of my best friends. Chris, thanks for being here, brother. You truly are one of the world's greatest minds.
Appreciate you.
You've just heard another powerful episode on World's Greatest Minds. For links, resources, and full show notes from this episode, go to worldsgreatestminds.com, where you can also subscribe so you never miss another episode. Drop us a review because your feedback fuels the mission, and share this with somebody who's willing to buck the status quo. Most importantly, tell us who you think we should interview next. Nominate the people who you believe have the results, the track record, and the brilliance to truly qualify as one of the world's greatest minds. Join us weekly as we forge innovation in real time. This is World's Greatest Mind. The revolution of thought continues with you.